Hello, welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. Welcome back to episode 271. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, maybe it was last week, that we are going to talk about the new cyber strategy that has come out from the White House. As you notice in my background, it's spring break week here at Murray State, so I am bringing this to you from the home office. But want to make sure that we get an opportunity to talk about the new cyber strategy for America, and so let's just dive into it. There's a lot to get to, and honestly, at the same time, there's a lot in it. There's also a lot that's not in it. It lays out six pillars that policy pillars that we're gonna walk through, but there's little additional information. There's been some executive orders that have come out talking about it. There's been a lot of articles talking about it, a lot of speculation that's about what it's going to mean. But really, there's a lot of this that we're just going to have to wait and see. There's been a lot of support for it. There's been a lot of criticism for it. Just like anything that you see that comes out from any political group nowadays has a lot of supporters and a lot of opponents as well. So I want to walk through a little bit about what it does say. And as I mentioned, there's six pillars. What I'm calling the pillars of action, because that is what they talked about. But it's really six policy pillars that underpin the strategy and guide the implementation. The first one is as it's written in the strategy, it's shape adversary behavior. We have not really, as a nation, really gone after these groups in FBI has, Secret Service has, in different ways, particularly as it pertains to ransomware. But there's a lot more that we can do to go after the groups that are attacking us. So this first one is to really deploy the full suite of government defensive and offensive cyber operations, working with the private sector. The goal of this pillar of action is to really identify and disrupt the adversary networks that are attacking us. We want to scale our national capabilities so that we can detect, confront, and defeat our cyber adversaries. Even with what's going on in Iran, we talked about last week that they may not be able to attack us from a military standpoint, but they could probably cause damage from a cyber standpoint. So we want to make sure that we can stop that. Number two is to promote common sense regulation. Right now, there are a lot of cyber regulations, and frankly, a lot of organizations view it as a burden. It's a compliance burden. It is There's a lot of red tape, and it's a checklist. So cyber defense should not be reduced to a checklist that delays preparedness, action, and response. Those are words out of the strategy. What the goal is that common sense regulation, as I understand it at least, can be implemented. So we're not checking a list, that we're actually adding true security defense to our organization. So we want to make sure that we do that. At the same time, if we are suggesting this for others, then it would make sense that we are doing the same thing for our federal governments as well. So we want to modernize and secure federal government networks. There's a lot in there talking about this, but we want to, some of our network systems within our government, federal and state and local, are really, really outdated and really not secure. The goal of this item is to accelerate the modernization, the defensibility, the resilience of federal information systems by implementing cybersecurity best practices, post quantum cryptography, zero trust architecture, and cloud transition. We want to, if we're as a nation suggesting that organizations follow these best practices, then obviously we should be doing it as a government as well. In some cases, we are. In some cases, we're not. So the reason that we're not is the same reason that organizations struggle with it, and it's cost. It's a burden. It's an ordeal. It's a challenge to implement everything to the degree that we need to. So this pillar of action is to really accelerate that, and I absolutely I'm on board with that. We need to. They will also adopt AI powered cybersecurity solutions where appropriate. And I think a lot of those pieces are really good strategies and things for us to take on as a nation. Next is one that I talk about a lot. Going back to the Iran example, Iran can disrupt the strait that oil tankers flow through. They're not going to be able to attack our homeland from a traditional military standpoint. They're probably, I mean, sure, I could be proven wrong, but launching missiles that are going to hit U.S. territory or U.S. continental United States is probably not likely. But attacking and causing problems to our critical infrastructure could absolutely happen. And we've got to identify and prioritize, and as it says, and harden America's critical infrastructure. We have to make sure that we're doing that. You hear me talk about that issue a lot on 10 at 10, but we're talking the energy grid, we're talking financial, the telecom systems, the data centers, the water utilities, hospitals. There are identified critical infrastructure categories within the Department of Homeland Security. We have to secure them. That's really all there is to it. We have to secure them. And right now we don't do I won't say we do a bad job, but they're more vulnerable than we would like to think that they are. So we've got to certainly work on that. All right. Next, sustain superiority in critical and emerging technologies. All right. So let me tell you the way that I look at this one. First of all, where was the first the first strong legitimate tech companies based? Here. Where was Windows or Apple or Intel? These companies, we America, the United States has developed a lot of the technology that has led to this tech revolution. That's why we're a leader in this space. Um, I'm not saying that it's changed yet, at least, but we want to make sure that we're um, maintaining our superiority in this space. So, as emerging technologies like cryptocurrencies or blockchain, AI technologies, post quantum cryptography, secure quantum computing, all of these areas are in the development, really in their infancy. um, we want to make sure as a nation that we are protecting our national intellectual advantage in these categories. So, as we're building secure technologies, as we're working on the supply chains, we want to maintain that superiority. I think there's a lot of value in that. I'm wholeheartedly behind this idea. I want to make sure that we continue to be the leader, and so there's a lot of work and a lot of emphasis that we need to have in this area if we're going to maintain that component. All right, last one, and maybe the one that's most relevant to my my day to day work, is build talent and capacity. So President Trump has called the America's cyber workforce a strategic asset that protects the American people, the homeland, and the American way of life. If we're going to do all of these things that are in this strategy, then we need workers and we need to maintain our cybersecurity workforce. There are some good programs out there. I believe our program our bachelor's, our certificates, our master's programs are strong. Um, but there are still roadblocks that prevent us from doing, and when I say us, the collective training educators, whether that's academia, that's industry, that's government, whatever that might be, vocational technical schools, corporation, venture capital opportunities, whatever it might be. um, there are certainly roadblocks and barriers in that space. So the goal of this item is to really streamline that, remove the barriers where we can, and help support the growth of talent so that we have the people to ultimately go into these areas. All right. So these are 6 pillars of action. The strategy really focuses on these 6 pillars and what they mean. There's not a whole lot more to dig into on that. Um, Certainly, as things are rolling out over time, we will share and talk about what that means and what that looks like, and how your organization may be impacted by these things as well. All right. If you have questions, let me know. I appreciate your time, and I will see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.